first of all, if you wouldn't hit your spouse, the only reason why you hitting on them is because they're smaller than you and can't hit you back. Because if it was a person your size, you would think you would come up with another way.
Ah, there we go.
Hey,
What's happening?
what it do?
How you been? It's been a long time.
I'm good. Huh? Have I seen you since I graduated high school?
Since you
Probably not.
graduated high school,
Yeah, have I has I think it's been high school since the
probably.
last time I seen you when me and Shanae graduated.
Oh no, I probably saw you in the commissary.
Was it after high
Did you ever
school?
come to the commissary?
I worked in the
Right.
commissary
Well,
with you.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. We work
Okay.
together. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. It's
I'm
been a
like, yeah, I
while.
know I see you since high school.
Well, you look exactly the same.
Appreciate it. You do too.
Thank you.
So, everybody, welcome back to What's Up With You. I have a special guest today. Her name is Michelle. Her screen tag is her IG is Michelle.c.harvey. And today we're gonna see what's up with her. So I always start my interviews off with a very basic question. What's up with you?
Everything's up. It's my response. My life is up. My relationships are up. My child is up. um, my money is up. Everything's up. It's good.
Hey,
Life. My career is up. Life is good. I can't complain at all.
that's what's up. The money being up and the child being up and the relationships being up and the sky still being up. It's all on the
I
up
can't
and up.
complain. Yeah.
Right. Oh, you buffering a little bit. So
Uh-oh.
nah, you good. You back. It's all good. So I know you wanted to talk about emotional healing, um, and a few other things. So my first question for you is, what does healing look like to you? What does healing mean to you?
I have a simple answer to that, but first I want to say thank you for inviting me on your show. I also want to say I'm so proud of you. I have seen you as a child and now you're a grown man and just as your big sister and as a black woman, the life that you have built for yourself and the family, the way that you love on your wife and your daughters, I'm so proud of you. So I just wanted to say that and thank you again for
Thank you.
inviting me. Hmm.
You're welcome. I appreciate it.
Sure. So I think what healing looks like is that the things that bother you just don't bother you anymore. The things that triggered you don't trigger you anymore. You able to take life as it comes. You have a little bit more of a positive, optimistic attitude. Maybe you don't get down as easily as you used to in the past. Like in general, I just think being a healed whole person, first of all, is a journey that I think we'll all be on forever. I'm not sure that that's the type of thing that you check off. Like, I'm healed, I'm
Right.
good, because something could happen today that like mess you up or hurt you or affect you some kind of way. So I think it's a process and more like a way of being. But I think it just means you have a little bit more positive outlook. You have just you a little bit better about life because you don't have as many reasons to be skeptical or as many reasons to be angry or as many reasons to be down. And again, not that those things won't come, but you actually have like tools
Mm.
to deal with life as it comes. So that's sort of my general thought about that.
Okay. So with that being said, what what does that process entail? I know what it entails for me. I started reading a lot of different books. I started reading things that I disagreed with. I got into studying my shadow, the aspects of my, I think it's repressed or suppressed aspects of my, you know, my personality. What what did that look like for you? What was your process?
So I've always been a reader. I have always loved books. I've always loved both fiction and nonfiction. So I've been a reader for my entire life, I think. I am a part of a business development team. And so a part of our practice is to read a book together every single month. So I've always been around people who like to read and have always been a reader myself. But I think that my healing journey actually started when I got my heart broken. And I think it
Mm.
actually started when I had this baby um, that was supposed to be with the partner and with the life. And like we had this whole thing planned out that I thought the plan was actually gonna like happen and it didn't. And so
Mm.
I'm have this few-week-old baby. I'm not maybe we broke up when I was still pregnant. Anyway, um am I buffering still? My screen is
No,
on.
you
Sorry.
good.
Okay.
You good on my end.
So from me having a broken heart, I started my healing process. And so I started with therapy. I had a whole thing that I was trying to do, but I started with therapy. Therapy was a good start because it gave me somebody to talk to and sort of like hear my side of the story, sort of, so to speak. Um, I was still reading, but having somewhere to apply that to was helpful. And so I went to therapy because I have a little girl and I didn't the whole purpose of me going to therapy was I didn't want to raise a man hater. That was just like my only thing. Like
Mm.
I'll be damned if she hates men because of me and because of I'm bitter and I'm angry and I'm upset that my relationship didn't work out. I'm not having it. So I didn't want to raise a man hater. So I was like, we got to get this hurt situation together. First of all, I'm not going to be hurt all day. You don't get to
Right.
ruin my life. Like that's my life is mine, and I decide that I get to grow or not grow. You don't. I do. So I didn't want to raise a man hater. So I started therapy with that goal. So the therapist knew my goal. Like I want to get healed from this heartbreak. And so from therapy, that lasted some maybe a year and a half. I still have her, but I just don't need her as much. So therapy I did every single week. I didn't care about the cost. I just paid for it because the goal of being healed was more important to me than arguing with the insurance company. I don't care. Here you go. And so I did that. I did that for a year and a half. And then I felt like I was okay, like, okay, I'm ready to start dating again. So I invested in a relationship coach. So my relationship coach was she's like all about feminine energy and feminine and masculine and all that type of dynamic. But it was cool to
Mm-hmm.
have that her coaching like right on the heels of therapy. She wasn't cheap either, and I didn't care. So I did relationship coaching. Now I'm taking an emotional intelligence course. And so there's coaching. It's not a game. Like, so my
Right.
healing is something that I'm constantly working on.
Okay, cool. Shout out to Cardo thinks he said my shirt is fire. I appreciate that. I'm gonna pan down right quick so y'all can see my joint. Got my little I always do the little fix my bow strap. Make sure my joint is
It's purple
make sure my
today.
joint is right. Yeah, yeah, it's purple today. I got a whole myriad of it. I'll be ordering them off Amazon. Orange is my favorite color. I didn't even get an orange one yet. Libby was like, "Oh, you wear the purple one today?" So I was like, "All right, that's cool. I haven't worn the purple one yet." Let me ask you this because I'm really into it because I got a therapist. I interviewed him already. I'll probably interview him again. That's my man. I tell people like it's not always what you think. Sometimes it is kind of tough. Other times I might go to therapy like, yo, let's debate some politics for an hour. You know what I'm saying? But what would you say is the most influential book that you've ever read in terms of your healing?
Uh, that's hard to say.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of my healing, maybe there is one. It's escaping me right now. I think that
Mm-hmm.
something that I read a lot when the breakup was new is As a Man Thinketh. It's by James Allen, and it has absolutely nothing to do with relationships or love, but it has everything to do with how you put thoughts in your mind together and like
Mm-hmm.
what you make that mean. So like
Right.
there's our thoughts, but then there's like the story that we tell ourselves about them, which sort of creates our habits and then our lives based on the story that we tell ourselves.
Right.
So as a man thinketh, I had the audiobook and the actual book, and so I had both of them going like all the time.
Mm. Yeah. The ability to either not be led astray by your thoughts or to be able to control them are like a really big life skill that I've learned to be able to do both. So to be able to direct the mind and be able to be like, no, it's okay, you can chill. God got it. We good. I don't, I don't have to go that deep down that rabbit hole today. Um,
Yeah, but it's what every successful person ever talks about. Like if you listen to the things that they're saying, from like Jay-Z or Will Smith to like Kim Kardashian, at some point you'll hear their thinking and how they think about their thinking. And so I think that's
mhm.
what you just said is sort of like the key right there.
Yeah, so because when I got started, the first book that I read on my journey was The Secret, right? And The Secret is a really good book, but I can also see how people would be like, so I could just think of being a millionaire and it's gonna happen. And that's not really what the book is telling you, but that's the simple interpretation. That's what people get from it. But you're right, like all of the celebrities that people admire and want to be like, they use what the secret calls the law of attraction. They
Right.
train their mind to direct it on something and stay focused on it, and it manifests itself. Now, what's going to happen along the way, you're not going to know.
And that's
You just got
cool,
to take that
right?
single
Like you
step.
just take it how
Right,
it comes.
right.
I think the secret, going from the secret to Abraham Hicks, is a good transition. Or
Yeah,
starting
it
straight
is.
with Abraham Hicks is like a good transition. Because it's not that you think you're being a, if you sit there and say, I think I'm a millionaire or I want to be a millionaire, but what you don't say is, but that's impossible. That's impossible is what is going to run your life. So Abraham Hicks says it's not like
Mm,
what you're saying, but it's like what you truly believe, right? So that can be
right.
different. So a lot of people give it lip service, but they don't truly believe it. They truly believe that they have to be broke or that they'll never make it or that they, or whatever your parents taught you or society taught you, because we're black, we can't X, Y, and Z. And that just is not necessarily true.
Right, right, right. So one of the other things that you talked about in our pre-interview conversation was how your healing made you okay with dating.
Yeah, I
So
think it's fine. Like, I don't know. I know people, like, I've watched a couple of your interviews and everybody's
yeah,
like,
I was gonna
dating's
say we
crap.
got to go down the relationship rabbit hole. Like everybody, and my show is about what people want to talk about, right? And I told my wife, I was like, look, man, I ain't talking about relationships every week. You know what I'm saying?
Well, you interviewing women.
But
That comes with the
I am
territory.
interviewing women. I got a guy. I got my man Black coming on here tomorrow though. So we're gonna
Tell
go
them I
down.
said,
But
what's
what I
up?
want to know is, yeah, you can tell him just log into the live
Okay.
and be like, yo, what up, Black? Black
Yeah.
actually made my logo too. So if y'all go to my YouTube channel, it's in the link in my bio. You'll see he made me a logo.
I
I'm
got one of
upgrading the
his
page. I
shirts.
ordered a new phone. Oh, really?
It says, I love black men or I love you, black man or something like that.
Yeah,
But he made my
he's
shirt.
very artistic.
Hmm.
So, but what's up with the dating scene and how are you adjusting to it, dealing with it?
Yeah, I think it's fine. I don't know what the big deal is. I don't know what the problem is.
Okay.
I think, and I, at the risk of how this sounds, sometimes we, you know how women say they don't like to be objectified, right? We don't like to
Hmm.
be looked at as just a bunch of body parts. Like we don't like to be objectified, but we do that to men, except we have a goal of like marriage or children. So just like I don't want to be reduced to a bunch of body parts, no guy wants to be reduced to whether or not I think he's marriage material or baby father material. Like nobody wants to be looked at for what they can get. And so, since I don't have an end game, I don't have an agenda, I can just go out on a date and enjoy getting to know the person that I'm sitting in front of because I don't have an end goal. Do I want to be married to some man? Yes. Do I want to be married at some point? Yes. Do I want to be married to you, like this guy that I'm sitting down with? Like, I don't even know you. That's crazy. So the interview thing, like we just trying to get to an end goal because we are either hurt or don't like ourselves or don't like people. I can't figure out which
Hmm.
one it is. So I enjoy people in general. I like them. I know people, a lot of people who say I hate people, and they don't know it, but those people just kind of sound like assholes to the rest of us. So I kind of get
Right.
what they mean, but you just kind of sound like an asshole. Um, but I like people, and so I enjoy getting to know people, getting hearing their stories, like where they're from and how they came to be where they are. I tend to date nice people who are somewhat fairly successful, I guess. And so it's not a competition. It's not I'm not trying to get anything from him. Like we don't have to talk about what we bring to the table. Never. I think some of this stuff is for TV too. Nobody has ever asked me what I bring to the table. That seems insane. So some of the stuff we just say because we get it off the Real Housewives or whatever show. So I just
Right.
enjoy the process. I enjoy people. I like men. I'm not trying to work on my father issues on this date. I'm not
Right.
trying to work out
Right.
issues from my past on this date. I'm not looking at him like, did you leave your other baby? Like it just, I don't care. It's kind of water. You just kind of flow with it and you have a relaxed and enjoyable time. And if it works out where y'all see each other again, great. But if it don't, great. You just had a great time and you spent an hour getting to know somebody, which is awesome. It added to me. The experience added to my life and I'm better for it.
Mm. So you talking about that, to me, that also kind of ties into the mental aspect, some of the things that I learned on my journey too, which is to embrace the present moment, right? Like the past is something that, and I've made songs about this, the past is something that does not exist. In this moment, the past doesn't exist, right? And the future doesn't exist. The only thing that exists is right now. So if you're on a date or in any situation, you could be at work, you could be at home, and you are reliving the past or projecting into the future, you're missing the present moment. And I think it's cool that you can go on a date and do that because I think dating is one of those things where people date with a purpose, right? Most people, like you said, most dudes are trying to get the cheeks and most women are trying to get the ring, right? So to be able to, for you to be able to be like, oh, I go on a date and I just enjoy the fact that like, yo, I'm on a date. I don't have to agree with this person's views. They're interesting. Like you said, I like people too. Like I like to hear different perspectives. I might not even like you, but I like, why do you think the way you think? That it just interests me. It's cool. Like I don't have to think like you, and you don't have to think like me. That's the beauty of life, right?
Yeah, and also the part of what comes with being healthy is that you heal any sexual trauma that you've been involved in or just past partners. Like I don't have to be afraid that somebody wants to sleep with me. I'm not afraid of myself. Like I'm not no. And I don't have to say no, I'm not you're not getting none. That just is sort of what my energy is. Like we don't have to have that conversation. I'm not afraid of somebody being attracted to me. So I don't have to be afraid of somebody saying somebody making flirting or whatever. Like it just doesn't have to mean anything. I'm glad if you think I'm attractive. That's like half the point, right? Like if we are physically attracted to one another, hello, we are on a date. So we didn't sign up to be best friends. But I think a lot of women maybe have not good boundaries. And so it scares them
Mm.
when somebody is physically attracted to them. And of course, it could be like trauma, which again, you need a therapist for all of that. A book, I think, can help, but I don't think a book is going to quite do it.
Yeah, I feel you. Therapy definitely helps you unpack your shit, right?
Yeah.
Like the book is going to tell you, the book is going to give you a very broad, basic way of handling things. They're going to give you different examples that may be similar to yours. If you go to therapy and you're like, you have to find out if you actually know yourself, if you actually like yourself or dislike yourself. And because there's all things about all of us that we like and dislike, and you got to learn to contend with all of those things, which actually makes it a lot easier to deal with other people and to be able to read people. Because if I know that I have a negative trait and I can become okay with that negative trait, right, and use that or transmute it into something positive, it's a lot easier for me to see that negative trait in other people, right? And
And
be like,
accept
oh,
it. You don't got to
geez,
trip if they
right,
got a bad attitude. You just like, some days I got a bad attitude too. What's good?
right,
Like you just, it
right.
makes it easier to accept other people. And so you can kind of tell when people aren't accepting of others. That gives you a huge indicator of whether they have accepted themselves or not. At least that's what I think.
So let me ask you this. A lot of guys complain about how women are dismissive. Say they two strangers on the street, and the guy's like, "Hey, beautiful, how you doing?" Um, why is that? Why are some women dismissive towards guys? Do you know?
Um, n- no, unless it's traumatic. Like you just don't know what you trigger in somebody
Hmm.
when you say that. So for me, I would be like, thanks. But some people, I could apply that to married men, especially married men in church. So I go to church by myself, or I used to go to church. I don't, we'll figure it out. But when I used to go to church, um, the ushers would seat me by a couple. And if I sat by the man, the first thing he thinks is, she trying to talk to me. Oh, I got to protect myself because I'm married. Or some, like, as soon as you say good morning, some husbands go, I'm married. You like, I did not ask you. Like,
Right.
so I think men do the same thing. Married men are just has this like she wants me kind of vibe, and no. So I think everybody does it. Everybody's worried about somebody trying to talk to them for some reason.
Right. So
So
I,
I'm
I
not sure.
figured I figured that it was other than trauma, because we all know some people have like traumas, and it's just like, okay, we get it. But I just figured that a lot of women probably get hit on so much that it just gets annoying, and they're just like, oh, okay, here's the eighth guy for the day, saying this with the same
But what
similar line.
what's the problem, right? Like we got dressed, we put on makeup, we did our hair so that we could be presentable, so that presumably somebody could look at us. Especially if you got like all your body parts out, you did that on purpose. Like you kind of not you asking for something negative to happen to you, but the attention. You clearly
Right.
know which parts to accentuate in order to get a certain response. So now that you get that response, I don't see what the problem is. And who cares? Like the
Right.
in my opinion, nobody's trying to hit on me. He just said good morning. If
Mm.
somebody thinks that they everybody tries to hit on me when I walk down the street, I don't know what to say about that. They're not hitting on you. They just saying what's up. Say hi back and
Mm.
go into Whole Foods. Like, what is the problem?
You know what I think that I think that is too, though. I think it's like we were talking about a couple minutes ago. It's that projecting the past onto the future, right? Like somebody in the past was really trying to hit on you and might have called you out your name because you turned them down. So now it's real easy to be like, oh, I don't want that to happen again. So let me just, get out of there before it goes south.
Yeah, and to
And
keep
then
it
I guess,
100, some men get like physically aggressive. Like some men are not safe. Like it's just you try to manage. So the way that I manage that is by being polite. But I'm being polite whether I feel like it or not because I'm thinking about my safety. I'm managing risk. So I can certainly see why that's a concern. I'm concerned about it, but I would respond in a positive way so that I manage the negative ramifications of if he doesn't respond well.
right. So let me ask you this: what is your number one quality? So you're in the dating scene, right? And there's one quality that a guy has to have. What is that one quality that he has
Okay,
to have?
this is mine, and I'm not, this is just mine. My one quality, like if I only had to pick one, what I'm always scanning for and what's 100% a deal breaker is if he's walking out his purpose. Like if he just got a regular job that he hates, that's not the guy for me. I'm sure he's
Okay.
the guy for somebody, but I'm looking for somebody who's completely aligned with what they came on earth to do. Like this is why I'm here. And a relationship is second because my purpose is first. Like I'm so obsessed and consumed with my task that I'm on earth to complete that's the type of guy that I'm always attracted to. That normally translates into him being an entrepreneur of some kind, or he has a really crazy job. Like, I don't know. I went on a date the other day with a director at the NSA. Right, like somebody that's consumed with their purpose is usually somewhere on the food chain that is workable. Even if he's not, though, he has to have something that's calling him and something that's driving him, and it can't be me. That's
Mm.
not what I'm here to do. So that's the number one I'm looking for is something's driving him, like something, some purpose and some call and some higher vision. Because I want to hear about it. If I'm supposed to be a help meet, that means I'm here to help. Show me what to do. What we doing? What we working on? What we building? Like what are you already doing that you need help with?
Right.
I'm help. What are you doing? And
Mm.
so that that's what I'd be looking for. Somebody whose soul is like completely obsessed with their task.
Is that difficult to find?
Uh no. I mean, sometimes I go on a date with some people who are not that, and I recognize like,
Hmm.
oh, you hate your job. You just not are you're not called by anything bigger, and I just don't I don't know, that just doesn't resonate with me. I dated one guy for several months actually, who's he was obsessed with his thing like that. He was a producer, except I don't know that I was all that into his thing. So I would have to work that out if either that opportunity came around again or I met somebody else whose work wasn't interesting. But like my ex, he's an entrepreneur and his work was like interesting to me. So sometimes we talked about work, sometimes we talked about business, sometimes we talked like our careers were kind of aligned, and sometimes we didn't. Like it was just easy to be with him because our dreams kind of were in the same direction. So
Mm.
that type of
So,
vibe is what I like.
so he has to be driven. He has to be pursuing his God-given purpose.
Yeah,
He
like
can't
not
just
just
be floating in the
successful at
wind.
work. Like that don't count. And
Okay.
money, that don't count either. Like if he's just wealthy for no random reason, but still is like wandering around the world trying to find his purpose, that's not what I'm looking for. But the God given purpose thing that you said, like that is what I like.
Mm. So, do you want any more kids?
Uh, my thought is we'll see. I could not have any more kids and be fine. That depends on my partner, on my body, on a lot of things. So we'll
Mm.
see. I don't have to have
I
any more kids.
I feel you. You got a baby girl. How old you? You got a girl, right?
Uh-huh. She'll be 2 next month.
Oh, okay. Congratulations. She about to hit that terrible too, so it's about to be on and popping up in that joint.
I think it'll be good. I think it'll be fine. It's not been terrible so far. She's already a toddler. She reminds me a lot of myself. I want to do my own thing all the time. And I always have. I always wanted to do. I couldn't wait to be an adult. I was like counting down till I could move out. I just wanted my own bills. Like I wanted to see the bill come and have only my name on it. That was just like my goal to have like a water bill or a BGE bill with my name on it. Like a lot of people hate adulting. It's what I wanted to do forever. So I understand her. Like she wants to do. She's a toddler is a lot like a teenager, I guess.
Hmm.
So I like it. I enjoy it. I work from home, so I have time. I don't trip. I redid the
Mm.
house when before she started walking. I had a contractor come and redo the house in a way that would make space for her and make room for her. Plus, I'm not about to be fussing all day. Sit down, get off that, come over here. That's not me. I'm not about to be doing that all day. So do whatever. I have completely
Do what you
made
want.
this space. It's childproof and safe for you. I bought different furniture, like not entire couches and living room sets and stuff, but I like to be relaxed. I like for things to be easy. And so I don't do a whole lot of fussing. She don't get on my nerves. It's not gonna be terrible because this is her space. I
Right.
don't. Half of it's not all that. It's not like I have name brand furniture. I don't care. It's popsicle on my white furniture. Whatever.
And
Whatever.
it's just furniture, right? Like your baby's always worth more than anything that they end up messing up because they always will mess something up. That's the fun element. That ties into the getting triggered and emotional thing. Kids will help you find your triggers real quick and real easy And if you're good at it, you can catch yourself and be like, see, man, I was about to trip out about that. And it's not even, it's nothing. Like, it didn't
Yeah,
change anything, right? It's just a little stain. It's okay.
but that matters, right? Like we build in people, and as an entire soul that you have in your charge, and you about to crush them forever because you was flipping out over something that don't even matter. Like just, I don't know. I think people be crazy sometimes. I think people's
Well,
priorities don't all the way be straight.
yeah, I also think that a lot of people, just in general, aren't emotionally intelligent.
Hmm.
Um, I read a book called, I think that was the name of the book, was Emotional Intelligence, and it was very enlightening. I was like, wow, like, so I started reading a whole slew of books on emotional intelligence and how to better communicate and turn disagreements into learning conversations as opposed to I have to prove that you're wrong and I'm right. And that's helped me with parenting. But that leads me into us talking about respectful and conscious parenting,
Wait, so
right?
how did you get there? Like, what made you pick up a book on emotional intelligence?
Well, I'm I've always been a I've always been a thinker, right? Ever since I can remember, and I can remember bits of being three, and I've always been a ponderer, right? So I've always known that I lived in my head, and then I think it just clicked on me one day, and I was like, "Yo, like I think I'm emotionally stagnant." You know what I'm saying? I like stuff would happen, and I would just be like, "Oh well," or my wife would be like, "Yo, you're not empathetic, or you're too blunt." I was like, "Well, maybe she's right. Maybe these people are right." And I was like, well, let me try and better understand my emotions because the emotions are very tricky, right? Because if being a logical mental person, right, your ego is very cunning. So it'll trick you into thinking that you're good in dealing with your emotions when actually all you're really good at is like avoiding them. And it's like, well, let me go into them instead of avoiding them. Let me go into them. And once I went into them, I became I gained the ability to watch the emotions come and go and come and go. And I was like, oh, wow, these are just like thoughts. And I have done that with my thoughts. So now I just have to do it with my emotions. So I can kind of pick and choose and manipulate which way I want to respond to certain things. And I can catch it. Like you pay attention to your body. So someone says something, your heart rate goes up, you start getting a little hot. And it's like, okay, I'm angry, right? And I know that I'm angry. So now instead of me just popping off, I can say to myself, "Oh, I'm angry. Let me deal with this a better way." Or best case scenario, let me just remove myself until I know how to better respond to this. And it's just, it just keeps it's a foundation, and you keep building and building and building. And like you said, I don't think it ever ends. I think it's just a never-ending process of the soul.
I think that's dope. I think not a lot of
Appreciate it.
people do that,
It's a scary
especially
thing to do,
men.
though.
Like, I don't know, like a man has to sort of get, because your orientation is heady and logical. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so I think that's an interesting place that you got to where you, of yourself, came to the fact that maybe I should deal with my emotions.
Mm-hmm. I felt like I had conquered the mind to the degree that I could to that point, right? It's like being, like you said, like being an adult. You get your house, you get your car, you're paying your bills, and you're like, okay, so I'm going to work. I got to do something else. Like this is like clock. This is easy now, right? Like I was like, I got to dig into these emotions and see. And I also realized that if I couldn't contend with or deal with my emotions, it actually made me weaker because then people once someone knows what triggers me, all they have to do is trigger me. Now, if what triggered me yesterday doesn't trigger me today, then this shit becomes chess, right? And you have to figure it out. And that, I've upgraded, right? And so I was like, I don't want to be triggered. You know what I'm saying? I don't want you to know that I'm triggered, but I want to know how to deal with me being triggered.
Yeah,
And so like it's chess, you know what I'm saying? So it just made me be like, I want to be the best version of myself, mental, physical, emotional, spiritual, all of that good stuff. And emotional was the one that I was like, oh, this is gonna be kind of difficult.
that's good. You
But
need a
you
challenge.
know,
Every now and then, a challenge is good.
right,
But it
right, right,
elevates
right.
you. It elevates your family. You have a house full of women over there, and you lead in a
House
family.
full of them. House full of them. I be going outside like, hey, look, man, I'm about to go water the grass. Too much estrogen around this joint. I'm going to water the grass. I'll see
Yeah.
y'all in 10 minutes. Don't nobody come out here. Don't
Well,
come
you
out here
got
harass
time.
me for
You could
10 minutes.
try for a boy. You could try it. That'll be number 4. So good luck with the odds, because it seems like the
I
chances
don't
might not be
know.
in your favor, but you could try.
I don't know. I think I got. Well, let's see. Let's see. Women are double X's, right?
Hmm.
I got one Y, and that's me. All the rest, everything else I got is just X's. Oh, how many wives? I got all girls. 18, 5, and 1.
Yeah, and it's like a hell of an age difference between all of them.
Yeah, I started early and then picked it up again late. And then picked it up again even later.
I
It's all
know.
good. I love them to death. They're all a bunch of fun. You know what I'm saying? They all have their own personalities, and it's so cool to watch how they grow and how they think and how they interact. And just watching kids is amazing, right? It's like you were like this little ball of mush, and now we're having a
Yeah, from like
debate
seeing
about
them from the
politics.
ultrasound all the way to like your 18-year-old, like that's crazy.
Hmm. Yeah, it is. It is. It is crazy. What respectful and conscious parenting? What does that mean?
Sort of what you were saying, like you were just talking about it, how you look at your children in wonder and how you look at your children with curiosity and how you see them as individual people. Like you already see them as humans. So you don't see
Hmm.
them as dogs you need to train, right? Like you don't
Hmm.
see them as subservient or lesser than, like these you're not running a military establishment, so you see these little people that you need to necessarily mold. I
Hmm.
think I think a lot of parents are their kids' first bully. Like
Mm.
when like again, we talked about it earlier, all the don't do that, get off that, yelling at them for spilling things when they're 2, 3, however old. Come on, that's crazy. Why would they know? Or they're one thing that I did when I became a parent is study like parenting, study human development. Like their brains aren't even fully developed until
Hmm.
after 3 years old. So you're trying to beat um, this thing into them, either verbally or physically, is abuse. Like, first of all, if you wouldn't hit your spouse, the only reason why you hitting on them is because they're smaller than you and can't hit you back. Because if it was a person your size, you would think you would come up with another way. You
Right.
wouldn't just throw a punch. You would come up with another way to work out whatever it is that you're doing. So I think I posted this several months ago on my Facebook, but I spanking your children is domestic violence. They just can't hit you back. Spanking, hitting, punching, we used to get like straight up. At least I did.
Hmm.
Anything sort of went. But that's not cool. It's just not.
Right.
You wouldn't treat if you wouldn't hit a grown man off of and what you were talking about is your triggers. Like if you wouldn't my triggers are mine. So my daughter, being herself, stumbled upon one of my triggers. Is mine to
Hmm.
work out. It's mine to deal with. The fact that I'm angry about the popsicle being on the couch, I chose to buy a white couch, right? Like that's obviously I bought it before I knew I was gonna have kids, but that the fact that I'm angry is mine to own. Me taking that out on her is fucking crazy. Like just that makes no sense. And I think in our culture, we just out of control. I get that black parents, and I was reading Will Smith's book the other day, and he was talking about how in the black community, we use fear as a discipline parenting tactic. We think it's going to help us deal with the reality of being in America, but really all it does is end up making you your child's first bully. That's just all it
Mm.
does. And I think if you're grown and you're raising children, you have more options than just fear and corporal punishment. It's up to you to be creative to use them. Um, to do what they did to us, to our own children, makes no logical sense. So, how we stand by discipline when we were disciplined when we got here to 500 years ago, I guess at this point, 400 plus years ago, They use discipline to keep us in line.
Hmm.
The way that they treated their slaves was unheard of.
Right.
For us to turn around and treat our flesh and blood like that makes no sense. We didn't get that from ourselves. We got that from them, and we need to give that shit back. That's what I have to say about that.
Right. It's crazy you say that too, because now we're, not so much because we're transitioning out of that. I think
You
a lot of
think?
us are.
Well, that's good.
I know like if the people that I know, I can kind of tell like they got whooping, right? Get the switch, get the belt, get the flip flop, or get hit or whatever, and they don't do it to their kids. Now I'm a cop, so I see stuff, right? But I try not to let the small percentage of negativity give me a broad brush to paint on everybody, because most of the people that I know are parents are actually pretty good. Now they, like you said, we all got our triggers, but their kids don't get whooping. They might get threatened with a whooping, you know what I'm saying? But ain't no real whooping coming. But I don't think that white people and other races of people, they don't whoop their kids
No, but we still got that from
like that.
them. That
Right,
is
but that's
not
what
a
I'm
part of
saying. Like,
our
I'm like,
original
what I'm saying
culture.
is it transitioned? It transitioned from
Yeah.
over time. Like, we took on that mantle to be, the, like you say, the first bully, or the arbitrator of punishment, or whatever, the corporal punishment. But hopefully, collectively, we're moving away from that, because I think every generation of kids is more intelligent. Like, I think you could just see the evolution between you and your child. You be like, my kid is smarter than me, right? I know
Already.
more because I've experienced more, but my kid is their logical brain and neurons are like, they got better neurons than what I got. So it's like you can actually talk to them and be like, "Hey, listen, this is not how we deal with things." Whereas if up, they was like, "Nah, cuz you getting booked. I don't care what you know or don't know."
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's crazy. I know you said you wanted to talk about black empowerment. Um, what's the number one thing you think blacks need to ascend in or be successful in order to be more empowered?
Money, like finances. I think that I don't know how else to say it. You need it. We need it. And so I think we be too hung up on agreeing with one another versus like, who cares if our politics match? Who gives a damn about what we think about a vaccine? Like, who cares? Like, we have all, especially us who have been, who are from this country, like the immigrants are great, of course, and they are brothers, but it's just a different type of experience that we have if we are from America. And
Mm-hmm.
so just who cares? Like, who cares about any of it? Let's just shop at each other's stores. So first, that means you got to create a store and regularly sell your shit, right? Like, first of all, you got to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Secondly, put it out there so that we can buy it. Um, and let's all collectively like support each other. So I think financially we can it's already proven that our vote exceeds every other people group. It's already been proven that our dollars, I think they said if you put black America in one thing, we worth like $1 trillion or something, like a fifth of the economy or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
If we run a fifth of the gross domestic product, that means if we move that money toward just the people you know who sell stuff, like if you bought your friend's shit, that would keep the money circulating in our community.
Mm-hmm.
Period. Like, who cares about anything else? Like, if we can just get collectively on the same page financially, that I think will help a lot.
Right. I agree wholeheartedly. I vote in a way. My first line of voting is what's up with economics.
Yeah.
Like, and I think that's me. I like, look, because if the economy falls, it's not, none of that's gonna matter. You know what I'm saying? All of your opinion, none of it's gonna matter. We're all gonna starve to death. So it's gonna be real bad, and no one's gonna care what you call yourself, right?
But we're not, though, because the
And
economy is what we make it. We're the economy. It's not
right,
some nebulous thing. How I spend my dollar every single day decides how the economy goes. So it doesn't matter if the economy crashes, we still have um, money. And if our money is no longer worth anything, we get to decide what the medium of exchange is. So maybe we
Right.
decide to all trade services, or maybe we decide to all trade potatoes. The medium of exchange is what we say it is, not the economy, not the government. And whether the person has an elephant shirt on or a donkey shirt on,
Donkey.
what difference does it make if they're all wearing white hoods? So I don't think we need to depend on that either. Like politics just isn't my thing because it's just all the same thing. And it's all the same politics, like the white supremacist culture running it all. So who cares? At the end of the day, they brothers. We not. Like we, at the end of the day, they unified. I have a mentor who says all the presidents golf together. So at the end of the day, Obama and Bush, they got a golf game tomorrow. What we doing other than arguing? Because they cool.
Well, I think they pulled the okey doke. I think they pulled the okey doke on us and keep enough of us concerned about things that are completely irrelevant and that like don't hold any relevance in progression. Like they might hold relevance in you winning some argument against some white guy or some black guy or some Asian guy, but at the end of winning your argument, you have absolutely nothing to show for it other than you feeling like a winner, him feeling like a loser, and you still being exactly where you are financially. I just think in America, it's a capitalist country, so money is power. So you got to go get it. Like you said, if it's not money, when I say money, I mean like the assets, the true wealth. The money is paper. They
Right.
don't really care about the paper. When they tell you somebody's a billionaire, they don't have $1 billion sitting in the bank somewhere. They have a
Yeah.
$1 billion worth of other shit that they
Yeah.
all add together and say, "Hey, look, I'm a billionaire, but I'm gonna
Yeah.
pay taxes on $80,000 of this, so I get a stimulus check, just like you."
Yeah. So it kind of is a balance, right? Between like I work at a nonprofit. And so every now and again, my thought is my only goal in life is not to be on the receiving end of the conversation that we having right now. Like at the end
Mm-hmm.
of the day, it's my personal economy that matters. It's my own I just don't care. It's nothing that anybody else is talking about that will make rent not due on the first. And so rent is due on the first. Period. Like that for me, that's rent is due on the first. Don't hate the player, hate the game. And I got like one more that I can't think of that's like my tenants for life.
You're gonna think of it as soon as we log on. You're gonna be like, "Shoot, hey, go back live. I got to put this other joint in here right quick."
Don't be weird. That's it. In my dating, that's the
Don't be
dating
weird.
tip. Rule number one. Don't be weird. Come on.
Don't be
So
weird. Just be you,
yeah.
but not weird you. Normal. Not is it normal you? Do you have to be normal you?
I think being you is good because once you were talking about it earlier, once you accept yourself for your perceived flaws and all, like there's somebody who's a millionaire with your flaws because of the flaw. Like
Right.
Kanye is a complete jerk. It's because he's a jerk that he's where he is. So one man's trash is another man's trash. I don't know how, whatever you want to say about it, but it just can't be all bad. It's not all one thing, and you aren't either. So whoever is like looking at their faults in the mirror, somebody is who is successful because of that exact thing, and you have other strengths. So just kind of focus on those.
Right. Okay. So last question. I ask everybody this question. I don't know if you've watched all of my interviews or seen the ending, but I always ask. I want you to give me 5 people, dead or alive, real or fiction, that you would like to sit down and have a conversation with.
Okay, yeah, I do. I have seen a few of your interviews, so I
Oh, well, thank
think
you.
Jesus.
Okay. That's a
I
really
think
good.
because
That's a real good one.
he gonna be like, I didn't mean none of it. All of y'all are wrong. Everybody's wrong. I didn't say any of that. I didn't say what you saying. I said I don't think that. I think everybody's wrong. So I would just like to get it from the horse's mouth. Whatever he said, I want to know from him what he said because I think everybody's lying. So Jesus,
Got
um,
you.
the minister. So I want to talk to Louis Farrakhan. Um,
Mm.
Malcolm X.
Malcolm X.
Uh, I like TD Jakes, so I would like to sit down and have a
Hmm.
conversation with him. I know like total ends of the spectrum, but I like him, and I maybe Jay Z.
Okay. Oh, so what would you want to talk to the Minister Louis Farrakhan about? Like, what would
First
be
of all,
the
I want to
main
talk to
thing you
him
want to
about
get?
TD Jakes and all of that. Like I just want, like I want to know what he thinks.
Oh,
Like
hold on. So
what do
I'm
you
gonna
think
go
about
talk to
him?
Farrakhan, and as soon as I'm done, hey TD, I gotta holler at you, dog. I just
I
heard
just
some
like
stuff.
want to know
Let's
what
rap.
Farrakhan thinks of like the state of the church, like the black church. I would be
Okay.
curious to know what he thinks about that, and I also want to know, like his real unfiltered, like for real, what do you think black people should do, and not
Hmm.
the thing that he says from stage with all the cameras because everybody's watching and we got to be politically correct. Like I want the no holds barred. What do you think as a collective we should do? Um,
Hmm.
and I want to hear it without the filters. So
Hmm.
I'm just curious as to because he's got to be successful. Like, what do your money look like? What did you invest in? Like, what did you buy? Like, what do you have set up for your family and for your children? And you have a whole legacy. How have you ensured? How would you ensure that that continues after you're gone? Like, I just would love to hear about his travels and his experiences and what he thinks as a result of experiencing those things. He knew Malcolm X too. So
Right.
I've seen a couple interviews of his thought process on that, but I just would want the not TV version.
Mm. What about TD Jakes? What you want to talk to him about?
I like how he think too, and I all that
Yeah.
he got to be. He's not a billionaire, but he is limitless. Like he's a TV producer, he's a minister, he's a author, he's a leadership coach and a speaker. Like he's a movie director, like he's an actor. Like he just has his hands in so many things. I would be curious to know like what drives him. Like we talked about that earlier. I would like to know what drives all of them. But like what he does to take the limits off himself. I think that could help other people take the limits off themselves. Like, because he's doing all those things means we don't have to be stuck in a job we don't like because we got an example of how it looks. Or you could be in a job and be an entrepreneur. You don't got to be both. I mean, you don't have to be one or the other, like everybody says. You don't have to do what anybody fucking says because you're an individual. So you get to decide how you want your life to look. And I think he's really good at not giving a fuck about what people think he should do.
Hmm.
He just does what he wants. And he drive his whatever and he unbothered. So you know how we
Right.
judge preachers who drive
Yeah.
roses or whatever. He is
Right.
unbothered. He pull up in he Instagram his house. He don't care.
Like I'm getting
I
mine.
like people that don't care. Yeah.
You better get yours.
Basically. Basically.
And what about Jay Z? What's something you would want to talk to Jay Z about?
Um, I like how he thinks too. So
Mm.
he is, and he's funny. Like he is a clever, brilliant businessman. I can't get my screen. There we go. I would like to talk to him about business, and like his investments and how, like all the stuff that he owns. How did you get Duce to give, or did you start that, or you got somebody to sell you 100% of the company? Like, what was that? Or even the
Right.
partnerships that he's had over the years. Like he only dealt with HP and Coca Cola because they gave him ownership or they gave him a partnership. Like it was a long term. Like he a hustler for real. Uh,
Yeah.
I think you should teach a master class on hustling. Like not this one off penny ante stuff, but like owning stuff.
Right. Scaled. Whole scaled it from one thing to the next to the next. He put one on top of the other, and
Yeah,
it's
but like how though, right? Like,
that's the question though, right? Like that's what we're all trying to figure out. And like I know with me in my mind, I'm like I don't even have to do it to the degree in terms of the numbers. I can do it on a micro level. I just want to understand because the process is the process is the process. And I tell people, like, we have conversation about investing in stocks. I'm like, well, if I gain $100 a day, that means some other guy gained 1,000, some other guy gained 10,000, and some other guy gained 100,000, and some other guy gained 1,000,000. So the process is right. Now I just got to figure out how do I build this thing so that instead of 100, I got 1,000,000.
Yeah, but you are smart because you still won. You didn't
Right,
lose a
right,
hundred.
right. You gotta take the small. You take this, but the compound effect, the compound interest thing is just amazing to me. You know what I'm
It'll
saying? The
kill you if
ability.
it's on a credit card. It'll kill you. Compound
Oh
interest
yeah,
will
yeah, oh
kill
yeah,
you if
yeah,
you're in
yeah, yeah.
debt.
It'll bury you real deep on a credit card.
And it's a shame because it's just like it's a slippery slope, and you could very easily never come back from that, right? Like if it's in a debt situation, but if it's in
Right.
an upside, it's genius. You know who has a good book about that? Tony Robbins. It's
Mm,
called Master the Money Game, I think. Um,
okay.
if you want like some good, solid, like practical that you can apply investment advice, I found that book to be super helpful, and my portfolio hasn't dropped since.
Okay. I'm gonna have to
I
look
don't
that one
even know
up.
if I finished it because it's like thicker than the Bible. But he gives you things to go do. Go to your account and press this button. Like he'll do that kind of game in that book.
Step by
So I'm
step.
like, I don't have anything to lose. This little $3, I don't. Who cares?
Right.
Let's try it. But it worked.
Right.
Like he was right. So I think that's a good book if you want to
You
your
say it's called
investment thing,
Master the Money Game.
or something like that.
Okay, cool. Well, listen, I appreciate you sitting down with me. I've enjoyed our conversation. I'm looking forward to editing this for YouTube. This is my plug, y'all. Make sure y'all go to YouTube and subscribe. My link in the bio. But I edit it and make it look real good. I'm trying to work on the side by side so there's not one on top of the other and stuff like that. But I haven't talked to you in so long. It's good to see you. I haven't seen you in forever. You look like you're doing really well. I'm happy for you. I hope your family's doing good. Your brother, your sister, and your parents, and all of that good stuff. Everybody good?
They are. How's your parents? I see Shanae on Instagram all the time, but how are your mom and dad?
Yeah, they doing good. They down in Southern Virginia, so they retired. They be down. My father's fishing. My mother's probably hanging curtains or hanging pictures and sweeping the garage or doing something. They living a good life. They
Your
relax.
father has gone fishing every day since I met him.
I got some fish in the freezer. I'm like, man, I gotta throw that stuff out. I gotta season it up. And I'm kind of, to be honest, I'm kind of like, man, I don't know if I'm qualified to season this fish the way you season this fish. I really want him to cook it for me.
How
But
often
I
do
guess
they
at
come
some
up?
point, not as much as they used to, but they still come up, pretty often. They come up here maybe once every month and a half, and they'll stay for like 3 to 6, 7 days or something like that, and hang out, and then
Okay.
they'll go back home or whatever. But at one point, they was up here like every other week.
Uh-huh.
So
Well, tell them I said hello. I'll hit up
yes,
Shanae, but tell her I said hey too.
yeah,
And
yeah,
Black.
yeah.
I might not
Same
plug
thing
in
with Justin.
tomorrow.
Like I said, you're gonna see Black gonna be on here tomorrow, so you'll see him on here. Black, I'm looking forward to Black. Black guy. Black is just, his mind is blown out. So I'm like,
And he
I
be
don't know what
all
to
over the
ask Black
place.
about.
I'm curious as to what he gonna say. He be like, and you know what? And I was thinking, and you know what?
Yeah,
So I
yeah,
saw an
yeah.
interview that the two of y'all did about the police. Um,
Oh yeah, yeah.
once.
That was a while ago.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was.
So
Yeah.
it'll be fun. But I appreciate you. Love you
Thank
like a
you.
sister. You
Tell
be
your wife
safe.
I said hi.
She on here.
Oh, good. Hi.
She heard you. Oh, Black right here. Black say he right here too. They
Hey,
all
Black.
here, so we all family. We appreciate all of y'all. We love y'all. If anybody wants to sit down and be interviewed with me, then my wife said, hey, anybody want to sit down and be interviewed with me, y'all hit my inbox, and it's all love. Y'all be safe. Peace.